All right. Thanks for everyone for showing up. Let me know on the Hangouts if you guys, I'll try to talk more directly into it. I want to share with you guys what ShipIt Day is, how I've done ShipIt Day, how I think we could do it here, which is going to be very similar, and then give a success story of how I used to do it, and just try to gain information on what ShipIt Day is and start a conversation here at the end of this on how we can start doing it at Aviture. So first, I'm going to talk about what is ShipIt Day. I want to touch on, Aviture seems to have called it Innovation Day. I blame Mark, maybe Jerry, I don't know. I'm going to refer to them as the same thing, but I'm going to call it ShipIt Day. I'm bringing it back. So ShipIt Day is pretty much a simple thing. Take 24 hours to build something and share it. It's not really more complicated than that. I'm going to go in more details on why and some of the ways you can do it. But ultimately, it was stemmed from this basic premise. 24 hours, I say every so often. Atlassian started it with FedEx Day as far as the name goes. And they did it every few months. Back in my last project, we did it every sprint, so every 2 weeks. It could be 1 month. But every so often, you just take a day to build something. The something can literally be anything. So I've got a bunch of things up here. Something innovative, I think, is the key with Innovation Day, is that we were going for. But it could be technical debt, bugs, new projects, improving the community. Anything that benefits your project, your company, yourself, I think qualifies for ShipIt Day from how I've read it and how I've done it. And sharing it is the key at the end. So we're not always going to come out with something super successful every ShipIt Day. You're going to spend some time learning some things sometimes when you're doing yourself, when you're doing professional development for yourself. So sharing that, what you learned with your team and your company, is really the key benefit for the company to buy in on it, right? We all want each other to improve. That's a benefit, but sharing it's even more so. So really, ShipIt Day is just that. Take 24 hours, build something, share it with everybody. I said it's kind of like a hackathon, lightning talk, professional development day, all rolled into one. So it's all the things, it's none of them specifically, it's whatever you want to make it. Now that's really the basics. I'm going to go into more detail later, but I wanted to give you that background on what is a ShipIt Day when I say that. Why do them? Why do ShipIt Days? There's lots of reasons. I called out a few buzzwords here. Innovation, collaboration, passion. Lots of these things are the reasons why you do ShipIt Day. So innovation, you get 24 hours to do whatever you want. People are going to get creative. You give them the freedom to do something they want. They're going to do stuff you never expected them to do. Right? And I've seen this firsthand. We've seen it in lots of examples. I'll go into a few of them. It's also a time where it's safe to fail. You know, we've talked about that. We want to be able to fail here. We want to make it safe. We want to fail quickly. This is a 24-hour period where everyone acknowledges you're going to take some risks, and it's absolutely okay to fail as long as we share that at the end. Collaboration. Atlassian does this really well with their ShipIt Days. They create a team, kind of more like the hackathon, how Atlassian does it, but they create a team across teams and across projects. So you allow collaboration. That's a goal here at Aviture, is how do we get each other talking to each other when we're ingrained in our projects. This could be a way to do it. Take the 24 hours and work with someone else to build something. It's a safe leadership opportunity at that point. If you have an idea, you can run with it and you can get people behind it and you can try to lead that. It's not quite the same as all leadership, but it's a start if you want to try doing some of that. And cross-pollination. Mark mentioned at the Christmas party, we all talk about cross-pollination. I looked up how to cross-pollinate. It requires bees' tongues, body hairs, and touching. So if you're not doing that, you're not cross-pollinating correctly. I'm going to move on. This is from Atlassian's site. I'll show this later, but they say build with the heart and balance. Pour all your energy into tackling this challenge, but don't forget to high five and raise a glass with your team afterwards. So just bringing all of that together, you get so much excitement, so much motivation, so much done that you wouldn't expect in 24 hours. There's just so many benefits to it. But why Aviture? Why do we want to do it? Honestly, how I've interpreted Mark and Jerry and others is we want to do this every day, right? Innovation, collaboration, passion. They don't say do this once a month. They say do this all the time. But it's hard, right? We're in our sprints. We're fixing IE8 bugs. We're doing stuff that's hard to keep this in mind. It's hard to sustain. So ShipIt Days can be a way to practice it. You know, sharpening our saws of innovation and collaboration so we can figure out how to do that, what works, what doesn't work, and we can start incorporating that day to day in our sprints. So real quickly, a little bit of background, where they come from. They came from a lot of different things. I call out a few examples here. 3M's company did 15% time way before Google and all them. They created Post-it notes that way. A guy wanted to create like the most adhesive, stickiest glue ever and came up with a Post-it note, which is a huge failure. But Post-it notes are a thing because of that, right? So that's a huge win also. Google 20% time, we're very familiar with. Atlassian, they started calling it FedEx Days, came up with Jira Service Desk, which DL is using Jira Service Desk heavily. That all came from a couple people on a one-day project. That's incredible. I'm going to put whatever we come up with our hackathon as a great example here. Why Aviture? Well, like so the council has spoken. Mark, Jerry, Kathy have said we want to do innovation days. They bring it up all the time. But maybe we don't know how to do it. Maybe we need help. So this is my attempt to try to bring that back into the fold of conversation, figure out what does that mean and how can we start doing it here. So before we go into details, I want to share one success story that I had at my last job. It gets me I'm pretty proud of it. I get really excited thinking about it. And so I want to share that and see if I can get some of that across to you guys. A little bit more background. I worked at the Air Force Weather Agency. I introduced ShipIt Days in 2012. This was back when Atlassian had just switched it to ShipIt Days. So I pretty much just read what they had done along with 20% time and brought it up. The team, it was a 4-team project, 30 developers, a lot of shared code bases, and it was a high-profile project. So it was the biggest one in the Air Force Weather Agency. It was the biggest project. We were replacing lots of things, which means lots of stakeholders, lots of redirection, basically like any other project at that point. What we wanted to do is get product owner buy-in. We wanted to do ShipIt Days. We wanted them to be involved. This wasn't going to be behind the scenes. Let's see if we can prove it. We asked them. This guy was a major in the Air Force. He had his ass on the line to get the project done. Right? This was multi-million, probably more than that, dollar contract. And his reaction when he started to hear about it and read about it is he wanted us to do it hardcore. He said, if we're going to do ShipIt Days, you don't do sprint work. If the sprint's not done, if you're going to get something done, you don't do it during ShipIt Day. You do ShipIt Day, you create something innovative, you do something great, you try it out and see what works. I'm going to give you some examples, but ultimately it worked. All 4 teams started doing it, and they never stopped doing ShipIt Day. So I have 2 years of awesomeness. These are just random examples, generally ones picked from people that came with me here. Some examples, people bought IntelliJ on their own dime and switched to it on an innovation day. Lots of bug fixes, documentation finally getting done. One created keyboard shortcuts in the app. Is one here? Excellent, that'll come up later. Onboarding documentation. On-call support tools were invented. Brandon created a cool Chrome extension that let us know when products were about to expire. So we didn't have to wait for the phone call. We already knew what was going on. We already knew what was happening. We were ahead of the game. We made system level tests for other teams. So it doesn't have to be just for your team. You can help the rest of the organization. Big one here, product innovations that change the roadmap. I'm going to give you one example, but this is really key that I want to hit on, that we literally changed where roadmaps were going, where products were going with what we came out of ShipIt Days. So my personal big success that I want to share, a little more background on the project. It was a full screen interactive mapping application. So think Cyrus, Google Maps, putting a lot of weather data, a lot of charts on the screen, allowing them to move around. UI was rewritten over many years, at least no less than 4 times. Nick Winter is again a big part of all those UI rewrites. Good job, Nick. And then there's entire UI paradigm shifts every time we did it. So again, a lot like Cyrus. Google Maps beta came out at this time of my story, my Google I/O. They switched it all to unified search. If you can think of the search bar in Google Maps today, it wasn't that. Now pretty much everything works through that. That's the menu system. That's how you do everything through it for the most part. It was context aware, and Larry Page came out on stage, and we hadn't seen Larry in a long time. He talked about Google Maps and a few other things. I was really excited. I wanted to try it. We've done UI paradigm shifts over and over. Google's doing this. It looks awesome. I wanted to try it. So for ShipIt Day, I tried it. I got the team excited about it. Ed dropped his ShipIt Day to help me. In less than 8 hours, we had a search bar in the app. It searched 40% of the data sets in the app, all in a unified search. So you got locations right next to bases, next to weather imagery and products. You can click on them in whatever order it came up in, because it was a ShipIt Day, so who knows what order that was. We eliminated at least 5 different workflows in the app just on that one day. It looked like crap, but it worked. We shared it with the team. The team was super excited. Everyone was thrilled about this new way of doing things. And again, we had rewritten the UI many times, and we were never excited. the team wanted to do it. So there was ideas. Everyone was coming up with designs, search algorithms. I've never looked at a search algorithm. We never thought we'd had to, and now people were looking at them. They're really excited. Real quickly, Ed, Warner, and Jacob were all part of that team. If you guys wanted to ask further, ask those guys. If you don't know Jacob, Wyrick has called him the giant human being. Hopefully that helps. But like I said, everyone was excited and talking about it. We demoed it to the product owner, because he's not normally in our ShipIt days every time. He was also excited for it. He was bringing up items from the backlog. Hey, could we do this that way? Could we redo this one? Like, he was trying to figure out how this could work. He wanted to do it as well. But it was a ShipIt day. We had a sprint already planned. We were going to work that next sprint of high priority things. And we did. So 2 weeks passed. And then the next ShipIt day, the whole team participated on improving unified search. Everyone was so excited. Everyone wanted to do their part and have a hand in it. Everyone except for Nick Winter. He was doing keyboard shortcuts for the 4th time. Winter, we heard you like shortcuts. After the second ShipIt day, we had 80% of the data sets searchable in the app. A new guy on the team that Ed told me to call his replacement in a mean way wanted to do trigram searching, where if you couldn't find results, it trying to find like misspellings and things like that. It was super cool. I dropped my ShipIt day to help him. A guy 2 weeks into the project participated in this. He was so excited. I guarantee that guy never worked harder in the first month of a job ever, and that's because he wanted to. It was animated and it was pretty. So we spent 2 days over 2 weeks, 2 days and 2 separate times to do this, and it was awesome. We demoed to the team, the product owner, and we all agreed we were ready to share. So at the sprint demo the next day, we shared it with everyone. The larger team leadership, this is kernels, this is majors, this is project management. They were all excited. Everyone was amazed by what we could do. They didn't know about it. They thought it was a super secret project. They heard about ShipIt days. They never knew kind of all the things that would happen. They were excited. So much so, they discussed changes. They stayed after the demo to talk about how are we going to do this going forward. And they changed the roadmap. So the next 2 months of work, there was a large percentage of work that was this unified search. Not because we wanted it, not because we thought it was cool, because they literally had to have it. So I want to share just a couple more features, since we do a lot of map stuff, that came out of that 2 months of work once they started putting it on the sprints. It was location-based. So if you're looking for lightning data, we would sort that list based on what's on screen first. Here's the lightning data that would show up what you're looking at now. Same with the base. If you start typing a base, maybe you misspelled it. Here's the base that's on your screen now, misspelled, versus one that's more correctly spelled off screen. And so we could take into account where they're at. Context aware. When you're searching for a location, here's the reports that go with that location generally. So you don't have to click the base, click the location, click reports. Here's the reports that generally go with that location. It had memory. Here's what you were looking for recently. This is what you searched last time on this location. Here's the report you went for last time. It had a brain. I don't remember what this is called. Art probably does, but you could type in 7-day forecast in Miami, and it would find the extended forecast. So similar words, synonyms, that kind of stuff. We had analytics. If there was a search that didn't find anything, we logged it. And now we know what you're looking for. Now we know what to build next. Now we know how you're looking for it. Right? Even if we did find it, we could still look at those analytics and say, this is how we could have done it better. Months of old workflows were eliminated, and they were unanimously concluded to be better than the 4, 5, 6 other times we have done this. And this came from ShipIt Day, from people's excitement, from people's passion and running with it. The final demo on unified search to the larger group, while I was there before I came here, ended with excitement, applause, pride, and an honest respect for the team's accomplishment. I can't explain the feeling that was in that room, but it was amazing. And another key for me was this team used to be a problem team. The few of us that joined that team were there to try to fix it. They used to struggle just executing on sprint work. And now they're producing some of the best work they've ever produced. They worked harder than I've ever seen a team work, and they've had the most pride in the work that I've ever seen either. So the big takeaways from the story for me is team ownership and pride. When they can own it, when they feel like they were a part of it, when they feel like they helped develop it, they worked harder than they ever had, and they had that passion that we're looking for. And it allows us to capitalize. We allowed ourselves to capitalize on luck and ideas. It was pure luck that Google Maps came out with that. It was pure luck that it worked out on a ShipIt day. But they changed the roadmap and they allowed that to happen. The last point I'll make in the story is it wasn't unique. There's at least 4 other ShipIt days, probably much more, that changed the roadmap, that literally changed what we were doing sprint to sprint that we did not plan for because it was that good of an idea. They all ended in lots of excitement and better solutions. So that's my background. That's why I really like this. I know it can work. I'll give you guys a process that we did. It was very basic. These aren't incredibly big ideas, but just so you can have some concreteness to it. The schedule, we had 2-week sprints. We would spend 1 day every 2-week sprints doing ShipIt day. We would retro on Tuesday. That was the end of the sprint. Wednesday, we did ShipIt day for pretty much the whole day as much as we could. We would ShipIt demo Thursday morning. So that sharing aspect we would do in the morning. We'd spend an hour, share everything the team had done. This is a team of like 7 people. We would do sprint demo and sprint planning the rest of that day. It was basically that simple. We would demo ShipIt items from 2 weeks prior to the larger team if we thought it was that cool. First step, getting creative, generating and gathering ideas. We had a Confluence page where if you had an idea that you thought was neat, throw it on the Confluence page. You had a bug you were pretty sure wasn't going to make it into a sprint ever, throw it on the Confluence page. Right, start gathering ideas, start talking to people, see what you can come up with and just throw it somewhere. Generate excitement about those ideas. I was big on this. Product owners and stakeholders don't decide what you do. They want to. They don't. Get people excited. I had a product owner that got this. He get everything he ever wanted done because he convinced some team members how cool this would be and how great it would be if they did this. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. It doesn't matter. If you get the team excited and they feel like they're doing something useful, they'll want to do it. And I've seen it even here. So get excitement. Be prepared. It's only 1 day. We didn't spend 24 hours. We spent the 8-hour working day most of the time. You get more done than you think. You also get less done. There's been plenty of ShipIt days where we started with high hopes, like keyboard shortcuts, and they get turned into many ShipIt days. But own the idea. Get team buy-in. We had a daily scrum still that day, and we said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to do this unified search. I'm going to try to get this much done. And just let the team keep you in check that it's benefiting your project, your company, yourself. So that was the idea portion. Daily scrum, we told the people what it was, got buy-in. Collaborate, create teams. So this wasn't a big part of our process, but if you could get someone excited and join you, you got more done generally. A lot of people went solo, but execute it. Don't do the sprint work. Don't do paperwork. Don't do security training. This happens. This isn't fun. This isn't the goal of ShipIt Day. This isn't why we're fighting to have this day of innovation and creativity so you can do your security training. It's not the goal. It's to be innovative, be creative, get something done. And don't forget, learning counts. It's okay to spend time learning. I spent many ShipIt days researching Spring and other things and other frameworks. That's okay, as long as we end up sharing what you learned. So spend an hour kind of turning what you learned into knowledge. Turn it into something that you can share so other people can also learn from it, and it's not just, I Googled Spring kind of a thing. Step 3 was sharing it. They call it a 5-minute lightning talk. We didn't call it a lightning talk. We just rotated around the room and had you share what you did for ShipIt Day. It was very simple. It was very low-key. Again, research compilation is sharing. Sherry did IntelliJ for ShipIt Day last year, where she switched to IntelliJ. She compiled a Confluence page of 7 links. She said these were neat things and tips that she had found. That's perfect. Don't overthink it. We have it. We can go check those 7 links out. I don't got to go through Google like she did. It's fine. Celebrate it. This is supposed to be a fun thing. We did something cool. Don't forget to celebrate it. Don't forget to make it exciting. Again, if we don't make it exciting, we don't keep it exciting, people aren't going to want to do it. They're not going to work as hard. They're not going to have that pride. So celebrate what we got done. We didn't do this, but Atlassian and other folks talk about this. They do a lot of voting. So People's Choice, project that had the most votes. This encourages you to do more than just a bug. Right? I struggle getting people out of, I don't know what to do, I'll just take on this bug. That's okay, but maybe voting helped get people out of that. They also, one company started doing best collaborative projects that have more diverse team members. I think that would be good here while we're trying to cross-pollinate, if you can stand bee tongues. Right, so how do we get people to talk around projects? This might be a way. The last one is key for me. This one they don't talk about in a lot of write-ups on ShipIt days, is deciding next steps. So teams, product owner, project management, everyone needs to allow for change in the sprints, in the roadmap. If we're doing ShipIt days, but we have everything full up for the next 6 months, we're not going to capitalize on luck and ideas. We need to leverage the innovation that's going to happen. We need to know every once in a while something is going to need to change the roadmap. We need to be prepared for that. So we need to talk about it with our teams on what that looks like. For us, product owner had a buffer in every sprint, knowing that we'd have a lot of stuff integrated into the app. We do a lot of ShipIt Day stuff that was very small that we could put in the app. He wanted to give us the time to peer review it and get it in. No reason to wait 3 sprints to get it in. So we kind of had like a 10% whatever buffer in his head. That was his way of dealing with small stuff. But we can talk about all the different ways of doing that. One way is to empower the team to conclude next steps. We're going to do cool things. Project management is afraid we're all going to say, oh, we need it now, it's awesome. Really give them the pressure. What are we bringing? What are we bringing to the table? Is this worth it compared to the other priorities on the sprint or the roadmap? Where does it fit? If you get the team involved in that conversation, they'll have more pride. They'll have more participation on the real goals of the project. But you have to be able to take risks, learn to trust them. We have to be able to buy in, otherwise they're not going to participate that much. That was really simple as far as the process goes. I want to bring back up again, it could be anything as far as what a ShipIt Day is. I've talked about product improvements. I think that's where a lot of power can fit. But again, it could be benefiting your project, your company, yourself. I scraped this off Atlassian's site of ShipIt Day. It's kind of hard to read, but I'll highlight a few of them. Jira Service Desk, I already mentioned. There's 5 people that spent 24 hours to build that. That's pretty amazing. They're making probably tons of money off of just one ShipIt Day idea that they ran with. Better bulbs, 2 guys replaced hot, energy inefficient light bulbs in their phone booth room, whatever that is. Fixing IE8 bugs, adding videos to their blog, making Jira faster, making their own homebrew, making an arcade. They have a huge arcade at Atlassian, not because it was a big thing, it's because they spent a day to build it. They call Black Ops things they don't want to share. So it can really be anything, and I think that's the key. So the last part for me is my suggestion here at Aviture. A little background for you guys, DL is doing R&D days. Very, very similar to ShipIt Day. I talked to Evan a little bit about it. There's a lot of excitement when those do come up. I see the base camps when people get to participate. People are very excited, very motivated when they get to participate in that. Cyrus did ShipIt Days last year. When there was the Predator and Reaper teams, we did them. Reaper did it pretty much how I described as the process goes. I think it was working. It was pretty successful. We would share between the teams. We would share at the sprint demo when it was big enough. Charlie went to the next level for this and a handful of other reasons and created lightning talks. So when it was a big deal, we could share that with everyone, because we were struggling with how do I share the Nitnoid ShipIt Day ideas with the really good ones. And this was one of the ways that we could do that. And it worked out great. So background here is we can do this, and teams are doing this. Mark and Aviture ask us to do this. So we hear them talk about Innovation Day all the time. When I stopped on Cyrus, when we had some team shuffling, both Jerry and Mark came to my desk separately and said, what happened? Where'd the demo go? Where'd the calendar invite go? Why aren't we doing them anymore? And they asked me to put it back together, right? So they want it to be done. I think we get in our way a lot. I've talked about this with a handful of people. No one's ever told us not to do Innovation Day, but we're in our head that I've got the scope of work I have to meet. I don't know how to do these things. I don't have time for it maybe at the end. I think that's a failure on our part. We need to figure out how we can integrate it so we can have the opportunity to capitalize on innovation. I think right now you can start on your own teams and there's nothing stopping us. We got to keep each other in check. We don't want to just run every which way. Different projects have different scopes. There's going to be different things that we feel comfortable with doing, but have that conversation now and start figuring out what that is. Share with each other, share with your team, at least the team that you're working with whenever you do a ShipIt Day, and have the conversation for how to capitalize on that luck beyond ShipIt Days. A lot of you are thinking, what do I charge? Don't be stupid. I don't know, I haven't talked to Jerry about this. He's here, so that's great. Don't charge 24 hours. You spend 24 hours. That's dumb. Be fair. I think this is really what they want the conversation to be. If we're going to get more details, it's going to get harder for everybody. So I think just don't be stupid. Like I said, we mostly charge our 8 hours. If we went over because we were excited, it'd be a judgment call. If they integrated it and it changed the app, maybe we charge more hours. Most of the time we just don't, because it was a great thing that we wanted to do and it's fun and we got to learn a new technology and it was a win-win. So the last point, when they're really cool ShipIt Day ideas, share it with everyone. Do a lightning talk or just share it here. You don't have to wait for a lightning talk like this. Yeah. that's all I had. I wanted to share on ShipIt days. I was going to stop for questions, and then Atlassian has a 4-minute video on what their ShipIt day is that I was going to play that I think gets a lot of these points across too. But I'll stop for questions.
So this is really good. I think this is a very much personal journey of what what you've experienced going through it. In your mind, I mean, so again, to the importance of it, I see a lot of things across the company that are coming up as grassroots efforts. They're all kind of variations on a theme. So would you say this is something different than a hackathon effort, or is this something you see as very much an alignment, and this is, kind of the same thing? We just need to kind of take these two ideas and merge them? Or?
Right. I could see them being merged. Right now in my head, they're different in a key way, and I talked a little bit with Art, but not in great depth, that ShipIt Day, for how I described it, was very much a frequent, sustainable thing that we could do on our projects. The hackathon's taking a route of more forethought, more ideas on where it could go, getting a team ready so they can execute a lot in a day and potentially even take it into the garage or take it into something else. So right now, I'm seeing that difference of a hackathon's a little more intentional, while this one is, let's do it so frequently so we can capitalize on a random idea and random luck. But do they merge eventually? Maybe. Atlassian, and if I show the video, Atlassian treats theirs every 3 months and more of a hackathon where it's a very, very big thing across their company. I think there's benefits to that because they get a lot of excitement. But I've seen benefits of doing it so frequently that I would hate to rule that out. Hi.
Hi. And after you said you had 4 teams, I assume they're all on the same project doing ShipIt days.
Yeah.
How do they share information with other teams on other projects? Because that's kind of the problem we have here is we have 1 or 2 teams on the project, but we want cross-project pollination.
Yeah, we weren't great at that mostly because it was a big enterprise spread out. There wasn't necessarily goals for us all to share. They didn't necessarily care. I think here we all do care and we do want that. So we would do brown bags when we could to share the big ideas, but honestly it just wasn't happening well. So that's why I think the lightning talks is a huge mechanism we could leverage when there's good ShipIt days. I mean, if we start doing ShipIt days, I would see the lightning talks full for months of cool things everyone's producing, which would give Charlie a new problem, which I think is great too. So, so I think that, but if we can encourage people to give regular talks as well, I think it'd be good. But Atlassian does, like I said, theirs is more of a hackathon. They share and demo everyone's to the whole company across the world, and that's how they've approached that problem.
Hi, Nick.
Brandon.
Question for you. Who do you feel is the best person to broach this topic with the project managers to try to get it in the schedule? I noticed that we don't have any in the room.
That's too bad.
Is that typically better for the developers to bring that up, or would you prefer to see that from like a, hey, Mark and Jerry are really encouraging this and they talk with the PMs and then get them excited from the top down? Or?
That's a good question. I don't know what's right. My gut reaction is if we're excited and you think it's a good idea and you can get the team excited and you can own what it could be and you don't just come to them and say, hey, we want to do ShipIt days, can you figure out how it works? But you own it and you go, hey, how could it work in our project? What would we want to do? How frequent? What would it look like when something would want to be taken to the next level? And you have a mini plan, not an inflexible plan, but if you have an idea on where it could go, then bring that up to the project management. Don't make it a big thing, but just if the team gets buy-in and they look like they're thinking about the project and it's not just, I want a free day, please, I think you'll go a lot further. So that's my gut reaction. I don't know if that's the only and best reaction. Like I said, Mark's mentioned innovation days, so leverage that as needed.
I think what you said there was a big part of, if they understand the value of it, that's going to be the key thing. So I think we have some success stories we can point to. But in general, if you can convince somebody else to try this out, and then they see the benefits of it, they see some fruit that comes from it, either in terms of the entire team getting more engaged or actual things that affect the roadmap. I think it'll work itself out. Or it'll go the other way. Okay, is this really providing us the value that we think it is?
Right. And that's good. And that's part of the trial at hardcore that product owner allowed us to do, where it wasn't just get your feet wet and it was hard to balance results. It was jump in so we can really see, which encourages people to not do bugs, really challenge the team, because that's going to be hard. I'm not great either from a blank slate, but if I get ideas from other people, it can go a long way.
And I really agree with that part, is if you're going to do it, be all in. Don't be like dipping a toe in. So, seriously, take that one day, protect it. Don't let other things get in the way.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm gonna play the video real quickly, just so you know. Like I said, Atlassian takes it a different route. I'm not to say that theirs isn't ShipIt Day. They kind of came up with the term, but theirs is more of a big hackathon thing. But I think a lot of the points still apply. Can you hear it?
To me, it's 24 hours of unlimited opportunity. Like, it's all about the creativity. It's all about being daring and a bit nuts and do it collectively. There's nothing like a team of people doing something crazy. It's very energizing.
You can really feel the energy. Everyone's always brimming with ideas. Too many ideas to even do with one ShipIt or like the next 10 ShipIts.
For me personally, it's a bit of my competitive streak. It's nice to get that out of your system once every 3 months.
I'm a pro with the button press machine. I think I'm okay to run a political campaign now.
I think that's the kind of exciting direction that ShipIt is starting to take. But we've had all sorts of really interesting technical projects recently.
The idea that we started with is not the idea we ended up with, so the initial idea was fine, but then it went through a lot of shaping and molding to get to what it is now. But it has a fancy trusted dispenser. Yeah, that's amusing every time you do it.
Pivoting is a definite integral part of ShipIt. Teams do change direction based on obstacles that they run into, what they discover is achievable within the time period.
So now's probably a good time to give you a how-to guide for shipping. Shipping's incredibly simple. It starts with ideas and individuals. Those individuals then seek out other people to form teams and brainstorm further. Then the 24-hour countdown clock starts, and they start creating some awesome ideas and awesome solutions. There's one simple ask at the end of those 24 hours. 3-minute lightning talk to their peers for the ultimate prize, bragging rights.
ShipIt started as a hackathon from some of our engineers, and we had a very small number. We could all fit around a table. We went to each person's computer to watch the demos.
These days, thousands of people in all our offices around the world participate. The grand finals are so live now that they get live streamed into different rooms because they can't all fit into one room.
Anyone for the chocolate? Keep your times up, the energy up. For all your ideas, salt and sugar primarily. I think the most important part of ShipIt for me is we don't take ourselves too seriously. That's the way that I think collaboration and innovation should be.
It's more complex than we initially thought.
I learned to not be too ambitious in all the things that you can think you can build in 24 hours.
Don't look at those time frames. That means bad things have happened.
A lot of us got into programming because we fell in love with that roller coaster ride of highs and lows when your code goes from being almost ready to being completely broken in a matter of seconds. And I guess ShipIt lets us relive a little bit of that.
We've broken something, yeah, at the last minute.
And it should kind of vanish after 30 seconds. And it should be a lot nicer. Yeah, no, it's much nicer. There's the shadows. It's absolute now.
We know it's a world first because it was so freaking difficult nobody else could attempt it.
It's really fun when you get up there and you present and people really appreciate it and you're like, oh, that was really cool, a sense of like recognition. And then when you see other people who are like amazing stuff gets happening, you just feel like you work for the most incredible place in the world.
I think we had about 300 entries for ShipIt 30, so it's a very large number of teams.
When you look back over the past 10 years, the number of things that started as a ShipIt project and kind of blossomed into a full-blown project is a countless example of that.
ShipIt exists in perpetuity. What we find is that the end of one ShipIt in our presentations is the start of the next one as people start creating and encompassing their ideas, creating their teams and thinking about what they want to do next quarter.
You look at the video, what's it cost?
I mean, winning at ShipIt is everybody else.
All right. Thanks, everybody.